Does Medbeds have centers? Yes, they do. And I'm what I understand is that a lot of them are going to be, these hospitals are taken over. I know there were 6,790 hospitals taken over by the military. Letters were sent, delivered personally by troops to the administrations of each hospital that they're going to be taken over. Was that a picture from Trump? No, that was a reveal. Yeah, the Nordics they're in town. Maybe they're there for the UFC. Yeah, they probably always like a good match or two. Yeah. So I mean, this is all part of the reveal, and they're going to have to start revealing more and more because, our Galactic Family Federation that, wants the reveal. And if the powers to be is not going to reveal it, Trump included, humanity has to know. We deserve to know. We're not stupid people, especially the patriots. And, the MAGA and the patriots and, anybody that's out there that has any type of compassion towards anything, any feelings towards this, deserves to know. Yeah. Any intel on humanitarian funds? Everything I believe is going to start getting drawn out. It's happening. There are things that are going on right now. They're going through the bonds because there's just so much counterfeit and corruption. The arrests are hot and heavy going on, and what I think, what we're experiencing right now, I think, Trump is a disruptor. Let's just go back and review this a bit. Okay, he is a disruptor. Okay. He's not a politician. He's not here to play politics and, political correctness. That is not what Trump is here for. Trump is here to tear out the guts of the DS. You know what I'm talking about. And take down every corrupt heads of state in every country on this planet. And right now, I think he's doing a great job. And and why he's doing the things that he's doing inside the United States with this UFC and making the White House look like a big carnival. It's only to bring out all the liberals out there that all the crazies are losing their mind. They just cannot keep their mouth shut on this. Okay. They have to say something derogatory and negative and try to demonize Trump in any way. And that's just basically given the White Hats more data and observation on what side of the fence people are on. That's basically, you can see this as plain as day. I mean, you got motorcycles, Evil Knievel boys out there jumping around on their motocross, doing flips and whatever on the White House lawn. It's like, it's up front in your face. And then Trump throws the Nordics out there, and then all of a sudden he puts it out there. He's talking with the boys, and and they're all in beautiful red uniforms and gold and red and beautiful blonde hair and whatever, and big tall guys, and Trump's there too, and he's talking with them like it's normal, and then he cuts off the tape. Or he cuts off the video, driving people nuts. Trump is a master tactician at driving people nuts. It's becoming a real sideshow. And I'm actually getting a kick out of it now because I'm watching all this with humor. It's very humorous. Yeah. What do you think about the UFC fight? Well, I think it's going to go off. I think Dana White's going to rain, shine, and tornado flies through there. I tell you, it's whatever they're going to throw at it. It's going to go off, and, my guy, my Brazilian guy, Alex Pereira, is, I hope he's on the card, and I think he will be. He's got a big bunch of shoes to fill there because he's going up against a pretty big boy there. So I think that's going to be a great match. We all have to take this, the critical thinking people have to take this very loosely, right? And never take this thing seriously. We have to be happy. The fact is that we are experiencing this and being a part of this absolute sideshow that's going on there. He's got people, Trump has got people and influencers and everything, criticizing and doing whatever they're doing. And now, I can see this all happening, this whole pantomime being played out, how Canada's supposedly sending money over to Ukraine, to piss off Putin and the, Russian Federation. I don't know if it's really happening, who knows, but, what, Trump's going to come to the rescue, or he's going to leave, the Canadians out there with their ass hanging out and, watch this stuff come in. I expect he's going to get everybody so pissed off that there will be maybe internal, battle going on, a civil war, inside the United States. I don't think it's going to be like the Civil War that, of 1865. Where you got the South against the North and all this stuff and very kinetic. No, this type of civil war is going to be cities and blue cities that are totally unrest. They will not be receiving any funding. That's going to get the natives very, very restless. And, of course, I believe that there was, in between 2020 and 2024, when the, China Joe had control of the border, I believe that there has been tens of millions of, illegal, sleeper cells brought into the country, and they are just laying really low. And I think they're, you're going to maybe start seeing them with, as what Michael Jaco says and Scott McKay, they both concur with each other. And I agree, 100% as well. They're going to be walking around with hoodies on and earphones, receiving orders from, their central command. It's going to be coordinated. And I think United States has to be ready for this. But, no matter what, I think that's what, the United States has to go into. They have to go into this to get it all cleaned out properly. It's either that, like it'll get to such a point, and that's why they got military set up in every city right now. That's what's going on, I believe. RV happening with the QFS. Well, the QFS is the RV, all this stuff, this chaos stuff has to go down first before all this other stuff, or it might go down at the same time. It's hard to say how they're going to play this thing out. Nobody knows how this is going to play out except the military, right? And I believe that this whole thing has been militarily set up and organized and being executed right now. But I could tell you one thing, the QFS is inhackable. And everything that your straw man have they laid onto your straw man, the QFS is going to unravel that and reverse engineer it by giving you the money back through your identification, your DNA, all this stuff that's all being set up right now. And they're the monstrous task of the worldwide monetary system worldwide, is knowing and understanding, where everybody places their mindset. what side of the fence they're on. And I could tell you right now, it's the West, such as Western Europe, Canada, and, other places, throughout the United States and stuff like that. There's a lot of mental case situations here because they're so deranged and brainwashed through the mockingbird media for decades and decades. And this goes for all. I mean, this isn't just one, generation. It's all generations that are being included here around the world. But I don't see this TDS as what what that means, Trump derangement syndrome, in other countries as we see here in North America. It's absolutely infested. I mean, and not just the TDS, but it's the unawake. My boy, I got a 14-year-old boy in the Philippines that's more awake than probably 80% of the people here in Canada. I swear to God, he knows more what's going on than most people because I've done the test on it. Right? And then people are saying, they're out there asking people, do you think that we're in a recession? I mean, all you have to do is look around. Anyways, hearing anything about the alien at the World Cup, some are the athletes, could be, this may be part of the disclosure. I can tell you there's all walks of life, on and off planet that are walking this planet right now. Yep. And negative and positive. Yeah. The negative have done everything they possibly can to, keep us, diverted from, in all this, on all levels of diversion to keep us, looking over here instead of over there. Yeah. And I'm trying, my best to navigate through this absolute chaos, but, Trump keeps throwing popcorn at us, right? I mean, it's just like you can't keep your head around it. And there's so much stuff coming down, you can't look away for 1 minute because you're going to miss something. That's how much stuff is. I mean, the comms and the disclosures of certain things, they're getting thrown out there. It's like that thing where he, did the thing on X with the alien disclosure. I mean, what was that all about? Excuse me. That's not a CGI or any AI that's doing that. That's actual footage. I mean, unless he's got actors that are, 7 feet tall, with hair made up and looking as skinny and athletic as they do. I mean, there's nobody on the planet that looks like that, right? Property tax help auction 17th of, well, that should have gone into court. You should have applied into court right now because that tax is all illegal, worldwide illegal, right? I don't know what to say now. A lot of people have carried that too far, and I'm not trying to throw smoke up my butt, but, I'm just saying that I seen this coming, writing on the wall in 2012 after the Lehman Brothers. Everybody knew back then that, how corrupt the banks were. The banks are not your friends, okay? The government, the media lies to you. The grocery stores poison you. The politicians try to take your land. The banks, along with that, are stealing your money, okay? And they're giving you and handing you out worthless money, right? Australia, so many still asleep. Yes, I know. It's not just Australia. It's everywhere. Mostly in Western countries, because they have the control of the Western medias, which are a bunch of, they could be reptiles themselves. operating, because, that they play a very, very big part about, the confusion, about applying confusion and lies and deception to the people, and people just get brainwashed on it. Time after time, if it's said over and over enough times, it's they begin to believe it. Still working for the big deep state banks. Well, that's your choice. If you want to work for them, I mean, that's going to come to an end for you. I mean, at least you're awake and you realize the things that they're doing is bad, right? And I don't know anything to say about that, other than the fact is that we're all going to have to break out of it. Now, there is people that have have kind of taken my advice, sold their properties, and got into a home on wheels and whatever, and stuck the whatever left from their proceeds into security, money, and I says, basically at that time it was a celebration because they broke away from the matrix and all the government control that they had over them, so they don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And that's the more and more people that do that break out of that control mechanism, the better off you're going to be when we get to the other side. The last thing we all want to be is tied to the matrix when the matrix fails. Like what's going to happen into your world when you're, there's going to be good things because you're not going to have to pay mortgage and whatever, but there's going to be that real empty spell if you don't have money to be able to go buy, a little bit of food here and there, if you're not stocked up for this. The last thing that everybody that you want or your family needs to be dealing with is, with other people that are desperate. I mean, you want to have all that stuff, stacked away. Yeah, Melbourne, Australia is fully asleep. Exactly. I'm just saying there are people out there and countries out there because, that have been totally consumed and believe everything that comes off that stupid boob tube, right? Yes, Germany as well. And, this is the thing. There's many asleep there. It's the ones we have been blessed. Everybody that's following me here and other truther that have platforms that you're listening to, that you assimilate with, you agree with what the things that they're doing, and you like listening to them. You're awake. You're wide awake, and you consider yourself very blessed. The fact is that you can look at this whole thing from a 30,000 foot view and look down on it and say, I'm not a part of that shit show. I'm just not a part of it. I want to stay out in the audience and look at this crazy movie as it's being played out, because it's getting stranger by the day. This isn't Trump's operation. This is a military operation. Trump is just he's a brand. That's all he is a brand right now. And they're using him to disrupt and tear down the whole, DS on this planet. Is the EBS going to happen before July? It's really hard to say. I think, the more I think into it, I think there's going to be civil unrest inside the United States, and it'll get to a point where that's where they'll strike out, and once they activate their sleeper cells, that's when the EBS is going to go off. So it'll be up to the lefties and the imported sleeper cells from around the world that should activate the EBS inside the United States. And that could go worldwide. Once the United States does their EBS, then it's going to go worldwide. And everything will be shut down. That's my guess. So expect more chaos, along with this, with the expose of the circus that's going on. it's a circus, and Trump is the ringleader. You know what I mean? He's doing a great job on it. Like I said before, the COMEX just dumped, they just sold for futures. It's a future contracts that they'll have to collect on by December. Okay? So these foreign investors from wherever they were around the world, they get on the phone, they phone up the COMEX, which is attached to the New York Stock Exchange in the metals department. They phone them up, say, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, how much of this? And it was, hundreds of billions of dollars. COMEX says, no problem. He says, we see the futures that are happening. We expect silver to be into the quad digits, which are into the thousands, but we'll sell it to you for $900 an ounce. Future contract. They bought it. They bought their future contracts for $900 American an ounce. And they bought it for there, and they expect delivery of $900 by December. What does that tell you? Okay? It tells me that there's a whole bunch of banksters out there or foreign investment out there that's willing to pay $900 for future contract on paper, and they will be collecting that come December. Now, is it going to happen? I don't think they would be out there buying silver for $900 American right now for a future contract if it wasn't going to be $1,700. I mean, what does the U.S. debt clock say? It says $1,700. $1,700 American. That brings it to $2,400 to $2,500 Canadian per ounce. So anybody holding 1,000 ounces, 500 ounces, you're going to be the new bankers. It's not going to be the banks. You're going to be the bankers. People are going to the younger ones are going to want to borrow money from you, right? Because they're not going to be receiving all this. We, the stackers out there, are 1% of 1%. Okay, what does that mean? That means it's 1% of what? 6 billion? Do the math. And then you get down to that, whatever that is, that's 6 million or 60 million, and then you get 1% of that. So it's like 600,000. There might be 600,000 people on the whole planet. That's less than 1 million people on the whole planet that has a substantial amount of silver. And silver is going to skyrocket like XRP will too. How many people own XRP? Who is that guy that just sold, he sold all his Bitcoin and now I think he's throwing it all into XRP and precious metal. I don't know what his name is. He's a billionaire, whatever. But that's what he did. He made a whole pile of money on Bitcoin. Now he's dumped it all. I'm not going to give dates out because on EBS or ABC or whatever else, because it's only the military that will know this, right? You want to quit your job and go home. Yeah, I know. I get it. I understand. Will NESARA be announced in July? I think NESARA is ongoing, and I think it'll never be announced. It'll just happen. There's a lot of people on social media right now that are announcing stuff. You're getting enough comms and information that's happening out there right now. I think that's what you're seeing. Right? I think you're seeing a lot of this stuff that's going on right now. You just have to watch on TikTok or YouTube or even Facebook. There's lots of information coming out. And, you got to weed through it and use your discernment. Yeah. Yes. Well, we're going to watch this big UFC thing tonight and see what kind of a sideshow that brings. You watched the film Disclosure yesterday, and how was it? Was it interesting? Was it worth watching? Give us some reviews. Soon elections in Sweden. It's messy now around the politicians. Yes, I can imagine. Many things are happening now. Absolutely. Thank you for the intel. Oh, well, you know what? I was told, I took a drive by and there was enough people there. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to get involved because there was just too much involved. I just told the people that were there, I said, just take pictures and take pictures of them and the crazy left liberal mothers and, and make them famous. Make the people know that, it's not welcome in our community. And they will be, it's not going to end well for those, guys that are dressed up as women. It's not going to end